My name's Amy, this is my husband Tino and our little black cat Satchmo, and together we moved from our one-bedroom flat in Glasgow to a little cottage in the north of Scotland. Our house came with 2 acres of land, a little stone building we call the byre, and a bigger stone building we call the steading. We have lots of plans for our home, but we're starting with work in the cottage. In the last video we showed you our floor transformation, so we added our pine flooring and stained it, and now we're ready to move some things into our house. These rugs have been in storage for a few years, some we've bought since we moved here and some we brought with us from the last home, and we gave them a good clean using a carpet cleaner and left them to dry out in the sun. It was then time to get the house ready for painting. We sanded down the windowsills and then gave the living room a really good clean. Luckily my mum was on hand to help as Tino was in London with work, and I wanted to get the house looking nice for him coming home because we were at an in-between stage before painting. So my mum came over to help, and together we made the house feel really homely, and it was so lovely to see our home start to fill up with our belongings that had been in storage for so long. This rug was in our last living room, and the sofa we've had for a long time. So seeing it all come together just instantly made it feel like our home, which it has over the last year and a half, but there's nothing quite like seeing all your belongings in your home to make it feel yours. We gave the sofa covers a really good clean as well, and so when we put everything back on, the whole house felt brand new. The new floors, the very clean rug and the very clean sofa. The cushions are a mix of things I've bought and ones I've made, and I quite like the eclectic mix, but we do have too much going on here because we only really have the sofa at the moment. We don't have any armchairs or chairs in any of the other rooms, so pretty much all our cushions are on this sofa. It's maybe a bit too much. Then it was time to get Tino's office ready for him coming home. We bought these trestle legs from Facebook Marketplace a couple of years ago. In fact, it was before COVID, and the tabletops from IKEA. We gave it a good clean. It'll probably get stained at some point in the future. I think Tino's got plans to reconfigure his office, and this might be going out to my studio. Then we brought in the rug for his office. This is the more bold rug that we've got, and he really likes the more bold colours, so we put this one in his office. And then my mum went home and it was time to make the house cosy for Tino. I lit a fire and did the last wee bits of cleaning. We were only going to be living with the room like this for about a week before we started painting, so I wanted it to be a really relaxing place to be after a hectic work trip and lots of renovation. I just wanted a few days of enjoying the hard work. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Nicholas Fairford for mentioning me in his last video. My work has been based on social media for a few years, and I know how much it means to mention someone on your channel. It has meant the world to me, and I want to thank you all for coming over and being so kind. Thank you so much, Nicholas. So after we had a nice little break from doing any work, we decided to do the mist coat. This was the day before Mother's Day in the UK, and I was kind of dreading this because I really didn't want to see white paint on these walls We thought we were going to be painting the next morning, but unfortunately the paint match that we got didn't quite work out, so it was like this for a bit longer than we planned. We did the mist coat, and then we took some time off to celebrate Mother's Day with my mum and dad. We'll hopefully see Tino's mum very soon. I made scones for my mum as per request. I love making scones. I love the way they come together. They usually turn out pretty well, and you usually get 4 really good ones and then a couple of not so good ones, but these turned out quite well. And I also made my mum this planter for her Mother's Day, and it's so nice to see colourful flowers again in the spring, and I've been really enjoying visiting them in the garden and cutting down a few for the house as well. I tried to set up a nice table for Mother's Day, and we had a lovely time. I'm slightly gutted it was white walls, but I need to get over it. I've been really enjoying as well hanging out all my washing on the line and seeing all my little cotton tops come out of the cupboards and be used again, and to see the garden come to life. After that wee break, it was back to work, and I started filling the walls. There wasn't much to do because these are fairly freshly plastered. There was 1 or 2 wee spots where the plaster had popped off, but nothing major. On Saturday, Tino went over to my mum and dad's house to help my dad with a big renovation project they're doing, and so I started to paint the living room. We managed to get our paint match sorted. The colour we were using is similar to an Edward Bulmer colour, but our cottage is fairly dark. It's not super dark, but it's fairly dark, and so mid-tone colours look really dark in it and light colours look quite dark in it. So I wanted to use a colour called Fawn by Edward Bulmer, but I wanted a paler version of it. So I mixed it myself and got it colour matched locally. So we got a Dulux mix, and Tino had heard it's good to slightly water down your paint, so we did that and got ready to start painting. Okay, so I've got everything I need to start painting. I'm on my own today because Tino's helping my dad with a project at my mum and dad's house. But I've got my paint, 2 trays, a roller, an extender for the roller, and I've got a wee edging tray and 2 edging brushes. I've also got a damp cloth because if you have any spillages, if you wipe them out with damp cloth quickly, they should be fine. By spillages I mean drips, not spilt a tin of paint. That would require more than 1 wee cloth. So I'm just going to get started. I'll probably start doing some edging, and then when I get bored of that I'll just start doing some rollering and see how we get on. We're changing our light sockets and also changing this, so they're in for the moment. We'll probably put the new ones in during the week, so I'm not going to tape them off or anything. All the woodwork's been painted the same colour as the walls, so I'm not going to tape anything else off. The only thing I would really tape off is the fireplace, and I've put some paper on the top, and when I'm edging it I might tape it off, but I might just try and edge it really neatly. And my grandpa was a painter and decorator, and I remember him teaching me how to edge. I'm not a pro, but I do tend to just edge it quite neatly and have the damp cloth on hand for anything that gets on the fireplace. The fireplace was painted back in December, so it's fine to wipe. It's not freshly painted or anything. So yes, I'll see how I get on, but I'm gonna just get started with painting. Sunday we recoated the living room. Tina was there to help me this time, so we got it done a lot faster. I don't know what took me so long, but I don't paint very fast. So Tino is really quick at doing the rollering, and I did all the edging, and maybe it would take anyone as long as it did, but it just felt like I was taking ages. Then we were making an edge for our windowsills. Our windowsills were in when we moved in. I would love to have replaced them with wood, but we didn't. So we needed to make a little edge for them. Tino did this using a miter saw and cut 45-degree angles on the edge of the piece that we were putting on, and then glued on the little enders that were also cut at 45-degree angle. Using miter glue, stuck them together. Sanded them down and made sure they were flat on the back, and then we were ready to install them. So I took up all the paint sheets and wanted to give the room another good clean. It's quite therapeutic cleaning while you're renovating because you can actually see the room transforming. Unfortunately, we did have a few paint splatters on our brand new floor, but I just took a damp cloth and kind of picked the paint off with my nail underneath the cloth, and it worked perfectly. There are one or two wee spots we might need to get a scalpel and just chip the paint off, but nothing too bad. Then it was time to put the edges on the windowsills. So Tino did this using panel pins and sunk them in using this little tool here, which I don't know the name of, but I can get it if anybody wants it. I then started mixing up the filler to fill in between the windowsill and the little bit we'd added on so it looked like one piece. So I mixed together the filler and the hardener, and always remember to use gloves when you're doing this because it's horrible on your hands, so make sure to use gloves. After not very long, I waited about an hour and then I sanded that all back so that I could paint it. And while I was waiting for that to dry, I sanded and painted our living room door. So I was just sanding this to give the paint a texture to sit on. I wasn't sanding off the paint that was on before. And again, we got this colour match to match the walls. So after I sanded it, I gave it a really good wipe down and then started to paint it. It was white gloss on the doors before. I just want these doors to kind of blend in with the walls. So again, went inside, gave everything a good wipe down so that I could paint the windowsills, and made sure that everything was nice and clean, and then painted with a brush. You don't have to use a brush to do this, but that's what I chose to do. And to edge it, I just used a piece of paper instead of taping the paint that we'd just done. This is obviously optional, but I find this quite a good way to do it, and you don't have to worry about taping up or the tape damaging your paint. Then it was time to move all of our furniture back, which is always an exciting time, and try and make the room look nice. This colour that we've chosen is super cozy, so I'm really happy that it looks so good in this room and makes it feel sunny in the mornings and cozy in the evenings. I made a lamb stew for dinner and we didn't end up having it till about 10 p.m. because we were both just working on loads of things, so we were really grateful to sit by the fire and eat it before bed. On Monday I brought in loads of things from the buyer and the steading. So we have loads of books and art out in storage in other buildings, and I've been so excited to get them into the house, so we brought them in yesterday. Yesterday we finished painting the walls in here, and I'll give you a proper look around later on, but I've just spent probably about half an hour bringing a bunch of things in from storage. So we have 2 outbuildings that we've been storing things in. We love buying books, especially kind of finding them secondhand in little shops locally. And we bought a lot of our book collection that way for a couple of pounds each. We're particularly interested in art books and design books, and my husband loves sci-fi, so that's kind of mainly what we collect. Recently I've been collecting a lot of gardening books though, because partly I need the inspiration and knowledge, and also I'm just drawn to them. So I've brought in probably about a third of maybe our art and design books. These were mainly in my studio, so there's still a lot out in the steading to bring in. We don't have a bookshelf yet. We moved into this house in October 2023, so about a year and a half ago, and we haven't really brought our books in since then because we always knew they were going to have to be moved back out for doing the floors, painting the walls, things like that. So this is the first time we're bringing books into the house, and we don't have plans for them to all leave again. We'll eventually be building quite a large bookcase in this room, the living room, and also some storage in Tino's office, which is the smaller second bedroom. So until we've kind of got that storage in place, I really want to have the books in the house. There's ones I really want to look at and I can't remember where they are, so I thought if I just start bringing books into the house, eventually I'll find the ones that I'm looking for. And even today I've seen some that I've forgotten we'd even bought, because things that we've bought in the last year and a half have gone straight out into storage, so we haven't really been able to even really look through them very much. So yeah, I have a plan just to line the books up against this wall. A lot of you might think this sounds really messy, but I'd rather have the books in the house than not. So I'm thinking this kind of space here, I'm just going to line the books up there, and they'll probably get moved around a lot. They're definitely going to have to get moved when we bring in the skirting boards that we're going to be fitting. But as I said, I'd rather have them in the house than not. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to reward myself with a cup of tea at the end because I'm parched. It's warm outside today and I've been lugging books between buildings. Okay, so I'm just leaving that screw sitting out about 1 centimetre, maybe a bit less. I can put back up my mirror. This was advertised as being from the 1930s, but it's just an oval mirror with a brass surround, and I just think it's a bit unique with the brass and really pretty. I haven't polished it because I quite like the patina without being polished. This vase is an absolute favourite. It's from Charlotte McLeish Ceramics. I just love the shape of it and the colour and the wee handles. I just love everything about it. So that's definitely going back up pride of place. I've got this little vase from a vintage seller called Katie. Her shop's called Neep in Spring, and it's a beautiful shop. She has a beautiful Instagram account. I bought this from her, so I'm going to put it next to this one just now. I love the addition of the pattern. And then one of my favourite vases, I think this is probably Victorian, but I'm not sure. And it's a glass decanter with leaves and flowers etched into it. With the other ones, it just makes a really lovely display. I've also got some stuff here that's going to sit on our windowsills, but they're not quite ready yet because I need to do a second coat of paint on them and then let it dry. So I'm not quite ready to put things on the windowsills yet, but I'm just going to keep the stuff in the room just now. Next up, I have a little frame. We got engaged and married in the forest behind my mum and dad's house. Me and my mum found these little 4-leaf clovers there, and she gave them to me a couple of years ago. Something that I love having in my house is these copper pieces from Rowan McGregor. She sells them again in an online shop. They're incredibly delicate, but really beautiful. So I've got this bird one, another bird one, and a little pair. I've also got a shell, which is in the bathroom. But for this area of the room, I like to just have the bird and the pear. They're just in that little vase, and then I'll put this one probably at the back of the room somewhere. Lastly, on the mantle, I have these 2 brass candlesticks. They're matching kind of column style candlesticks. And I'm just going to pop them on each end of the fireplace, and I'm going to put beeswax candles in them. I think beeswax is so lovely and warming, and I love the smell of it, and it's actually much better for you than other types of wax. Okay, so I'm just taking a step back to make sure I like how everything's sitting. Pull that out a wee bit, and same with that, and then again pull them out a wee bit. And here's something that I've been saving for years at this point. I bought this when we were moving out of our flat to decorate our flat with. It's a diptyque candle. It's one of my favourites. I hadn't bought one of these in years, and then decided to buy one to make our flat look nice for moving. I'd also use it again when we moved in somewhere, and I bought loads of candles since then and burned them and used them, but I haven't used this one because I knew the purpose of it was when we were settled in our home I was going to like this. So I feel like now's the time. I'm going to pop it on the fireplace. Don't really want it to be front and centre. There we go. We'll put it there just now, and then maybe move it around once the room's kind of settled, but I feel like it's no longer time for it to live in a box. It should be burned, be used, be replaced. But it was kind of more of a signifier that we were in and settled than anything else. So it's now Tuesday and we are kind of finished this room. We're not fully finished, we still have to add skirting boards, finish painting the woodwork, add in the radiators, put in curtains and curtain poles and things like that. But in a renovation sense, this room is finished. We obviously did the floors, which are just what we wanted them to be. They're nice and warm, they look lived in. We've added in the rugs. This one's we had in our old living room in our flat, and it works really well in here as well, which is nice. Our sofa, again, we've had for I think 3 or 4 house moves, so we've had it for over 10 years. It's old IKEA but with Bem's covers on it. The cushions were all ones that either we bought a long time ago or I've made. I would have them more fluffed, but Satchmo is currently napping right there. The fireplace is done, slightly decorated. I definitely want to add more to the fireplace, but I'm still kind of unpacking all of our belongings and seeing where we want to put things and kind of coming up with new ways of displaying things. My favourite little lamp in the corner here is on a really pretty little sewing table that my sister got me a couple of years ago. There's a wee close up on that. It's got a nice, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a nice scalloped edge on it. It's really pretty. I still need to do a coat of paint on the windowsills. I've done one coat already, I need to do another. And we're actually going to be painting the window frames and getting new handles. So the window frames are going to be painted the same colour as the rest of the room, and the handles will be black, quite traditional looking handles, but they can be used for UPVC windows. We would love to get new windows at some point, but we won't be doing that for a good couple of years. Maybe if we get an extension we'll do it then, kind of replace all the windows in the house, but until then this is what we've got. The other thing that'll be changing, this is the old footstool that goes with the sofa. As you can see, it used to be grey, and I'm going to be making a new one soon, so that'll be changing. We need something a bit bigger, so I'll be making that soon. And I also don't like the fabric on this, so again, I'll be changing the fabric. And the back of the room. So this area won't be finished for a while because we're planning to build a big bookcase that curves around this wall and this wall. So it'll be all along the back wall and then it'll come into this wall a wee bit. And so until then, we are just going to make do with what we've got. I'm hoping to hang some of our art this week. I've kind of given the room a wee bit of of time to settle after painting it, and we're probably going to start hanging art either tomorrow or the day after. Hopefully soon though. And it's all just sitting here waiting to get up on the walls. As for the books, it's not the tidiest option. It's not ideal, but I really love having books in the house and having them easily accessible. And as I said, these have been in storage for a year and a half, so I'm just excited to have them out and be able to look at them again. I also don't hate the way it looks. It's not the neatest, but to me it's adding more character to the house and showing that someone actually lives here. And for a long time we haven't been able to add anything like that, so I'm just embracing it. We have a little dining table in this room. We don't actually have room for a dining table anywhere else in our house, so we've got this kind of fold away one that sits at the back of the room. That'll stay there till at least we get a bookcase built in here, and even when we've got that we might try and keep the table in here because it's handy to have one. It's also where I do a lot of my work, so at the moment it's just full of stuff that's all going to go on the windowsills when they're dry, and until then it's just going to hang out on that table. And yeah, this is just how the house is looking Tuesday, right before this video goes up. My project for the next few days is going to be finishing the windowsills. I started painting the door the other day, so I'm going to finish that. We changed the light switches over to these brass ones. These were fairly inexpensive. They're unlacquered, so I'm hoping that they'll patina. If you think they look a bit smudgy, I'm leaving them to patina. I'm not going to be polishing them all the time because I'd actually rather they looked more muted to suit all the other brass in the house, like the brass candlesticks and the mirror on the fireplace. And the other thing that we did last night was we changed the light fitting on the ceiling. So it used to be a big kind of metal lantern, I guess, style light. We wanted something a lot more simple, so we've got this basic light fitting from Pookie. I think this is in the bronze colour. I'm going to be making a lampshade. I've made a lot of other lampshades in the house, including this little one over here, which is a Liberty print. I think it's Katie and Millie, I think is the fabric. It's the same as this cushion. So yeah, I'm going to be making a lampshade for in here. And yeah, so that's kind of where we are with the house. Still in a in-between process, which we will be for a long time. The hall, as you can see, is partly stained, but we have a little bit left to do. We had to leave some pieces just to walk on. Tina's office is the same as you last saw it, just plaster walls and stained floors, rug, desk, things like that, but we haven't painted it or anything yet. And we've still to do the floor in the bedrooms. It's still carpet because we were living out of that room while we did the rest. Now that this room's done, we can finish things off in here and then move the bed in here and start doing the bedroom. So we're so close to the end now and really happy to be at this stage, especially with the weather being so beautiful outside. It just feels like the house is kind of coming alive with all the trees and everything. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there this week and we'll be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully there'll be loads of progress. I feel like we got loads done in the last 2 weeks, which is quite nice. So hopefully I'll be able to say the same again in 2 weeks. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!